Hello, hello! I was sitting vibing to the music. I still haven't finished my dinner, but I had to start. Hang on, let me change the tunes. We got Halloween stuff. La 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 la. Yumi, hi, hi. Hello, 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 hello. My stuff for Yumi ends in 3 days, which means I can wait till I get paid and have it go at the time that I want to. Yay! Let's go. So, how was everyone's day? Was it good? Did you guys have a good day? I had a good day. I did literally nothing but uni work. And then I ate it and I played one Overwatch game and it was awful and it was bad and I'm bad and I'm never touching that game again until tomorrow. My day started 2 hours ago. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I have been... When did I wake up? I woke up so early. I woke up at like... What was it? Like 8 p.m.? 8 p.m.? 9 a.m.? I think I woke up at 9 a.m. Yeah. Just starting it. Gonna be great though. Let's go! I almost knocked my iced tea all over my keyboard just then. Did I hear a sound effect? But I saw it. What the heck? Oh, actually, I remember. I will enable that now. But when you're gonna be... Today's stream's gonna work a little differently. Okay, today's stream's gonna work a little differently. So, I've disabled text-to-speech for my Ko-Fi. So, that won't happen. But the sound effects still will. But try not to overuse them because I'm gonna be talking a lot. Yeah! Today's stream is gonna go like this. Like so. We are going to go into a spooky ooky environment. Ooh! And I'm gonna read you guys some ghost stories. Yeah! Except that I have just realized I didn't load the environment into Streamlabs. I forgot. But it should be fun! It should be fun! It'll be fun! Maybe I'll just make this screen more spooky. I'll make it like... I don't know how to do that. But I had... Yeah. Hang on. I'm just looking... I have an idea. La 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 la. I got sidetracked. Anyway, the way this is gonna work is I have written some spooky ghost stories. Ooh, spooky. And I have also gotten some ghost stories. You stole my ears. That's terrifying. I have also gotten some ghost stories from the internet, the lovely World Wide Web. And we are going to read them and hopefully not scare myself so much that I don't sleep tonight. Yeah, I love Halloween. But I'm going to be treating this kind of like an ASMR stream in the sense that I'm going to be a little bit more chill. I'm not going to scream and shout and stuff. Maybe. I haven't decided. But there's going to be no music. I have an ambience instead. I've got an ambience. I've got a cozy camp in an eerie forest ambience. So I'm excited for that. But we'll have music and we'll have a chat for a bit before we start that. I wanted to talk a little bit about tomorrow's stream. I don't remember what time I put. I'm eating a piece of broccoli. Sorry, I'm still hungry. What time did I put? Like 7 or something? Anyway. Oh no! My book! Anyway. 7 p.m. Yeah. So, tomorrow at 7 p.m. we will be doing a hand cam stream. Oh, but Yumi, what does this mean? What does a hand cam stream mean? A hand cam stream means you guys get to see my hands and my nice nails that are growing out a little bit. But we will be doing a pumpkin. I am not really sure how that's gonna go. Quite honestly. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to cut the pumpkin. It might be too hard. But we're gonna try it together. If all else fails, I'll just, like, I don't know. I'll do a drawing or something. Or we'll pivot. I have some Lego. We have some Lego. But I'm gonna try and cut a pumpkin. So that is earlier than usual tomorrow, okay? That is at 7 p.m. Yeah? There are pumpkins in Australia? Yeah, of course there's pumpkins in Australia. I eat pumpkin all the time. It's really yummy. I love pumpkin. I don't know if we grow them here though. I'm not sure. I don't know. But we definitely do have it. 6, 7 blank. I swear to God, man. What are you doing? La 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 la. Wow, wow. I'm just trying to set up my OBS because I did kind of forget to a little bit, maybe. I played the 5th. But I did kind of forget to set up my OBS. Hi, Renzi. Welcome. My mom's growing pumpkins and she makes pumpkin soup. Yum! That sounds absolutely delicious. Where is my bowl? Can your mom please make me pumpkin soup? That would be great. I would be very happy if your mom made me pumpkin soup. I love pumpkin soup. My dad makes me pumpkin soup a lot. Well, I say a lot, not really like a lot, but like a lot enough that I'm like, yeah, I love pumpkin soup. Sorry, I'm just loading my image in. Oh my god, it's so small. This is gonna be the lowest resolution ever. What? That's what I get for getting a WebP file. Guys, WebP is the worst format. There is no reason that WebP should exist. I just want to put that out there. I just want to put that out there. There's no reason WebP should exist. La 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 la. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't want to pay. I have one, but I don't want to pay for it. What the heck, WebP hater? I am a certified WebP hater, okay? If anyone can tell me and convince me that there is a good reason that WebP should exist, think about it. You have PNG, you have JPEG, you have, I don't know, TGA, okay? You have so many formats, okay, that make stuff viable. And yet, WebP decides to exist. It's useless. There's nothing to do it. Why is there a second voice in the background? There shouldn't be. What voice? Hi? Are you hearing my echo? Are you, but this is blank P. There isn't one. I was ghost trolling. No, because you need to understand. I can hear myself in my headphones. I've got audio relay, so if I turn on my desktop audio like I just have, you will hear two of me. So I was really confused. It's smaller than PNG though, but there's no PNG is already so small. There is no reason. There is no reason for WebP to exist. Do you know what I mean? Alright, chat, I want to show you my scene. You need to tell me if the resolution is so bad that it's distracting. Is the resolution so bad that it's distracting? Because it might be. If it is, that's okay. You're allowed to tell me that it's shit. You see how low res the background is? Is it like, this is why WebP sucks. Okay? This is why WebP sucks. Hi everyone. Hang on. I just need to... La 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 la. No, I lost it. Come back. Oh, you can see my blankie. Okay. That's not WebP's fault that the image being terrible quality. Yes, it is. This is all WebP's fault. Okay, WebP sucks. It's the worst ever. I hate it. I'm getting a different image. I'm getting a different freaking image that is not a WebP file. Should we? Yeah, let's get a different image. I want like mega spook. I want something mega spooky. I searched spooky background GIF. Let's see, is iStock gonna make me pay for stuff? La 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 la. It is! What if I don't? $184? It's trying to kill me! What? It's 184 quality. $84. Oh my gosh. I found one. It's a GIF, it's not a WebP. Okay, chat, be ready to be amazed. Be ready. Be ready to be amazed. It's gonna be so much better. Yeah! Look, it even got spooky. It moves. See the stuff. Ooh, spooky. Ooh. I got a blanket and everything. My little pumpkin is here to spend time with me. Get the blanket. Wait, I'm a minute. I'll like go here. Yeah! It's still pretty compressed. Look, sometimes things in life are just compressed. I'm not mad about it because I'm also have been referred to as compressed, but sometimes they just are, okay? Sometimes things are just, they just get compressed. There we go. Okay! Let's get our spooky ambience on. I like that I'm doing all of this stuff on stream that I should have done before. Since Halloween is near, what is your favorite candy? Kit Kats. Does that count? Is that a candy? I like Kit Kats, but it's funny because I don't like chocolate. I said this at Easter. I was like, I don't like chocolate. Let's get some freaking ambience up in this stream. Yeah. Can you hear it? Can you guys hear the ambience? Ooh, I can. Sketch a spooky background live. I should do a doing stream. I haven't done a doing stream in like ages. I like those gummy Dracula teeth, dude. I freaking love strawberries and cream. I decided that's my favorite actually. That's my favorite lollies. Also, those really cheap eyeball candies that are kind of like weirdly airy. I like those as well. Hang on. I'm gonna eat some of my rice. I will be taking frequent breaks between stories to eat food. My cold Thai food. Alright. Hang on. I forgot what I was doing. Oh, yeah. Ooh, spooky. Ooh, spooky. The eyeball candy with sour goo in it. Oh my god, yeah, that's so good. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Let's start with the first story. This is one that I found online. It is not very good. None of these are very good. But actually, maybe I should start with... Oh. Should I start chat? Should I start with... Should I start with a story I wrote? Or should I start with a story I found online? Or does somebody have a story, a spooky story? Online? Okay, let's have a little look. Let's do... Okay, I've got one. This is called The Candle Man. Can you guys hear me? Is the background too loud? Can you hear the background? I want to make sure everything's perfect before I start. Okay. The Candleman. In the mist-shrouded village of gloom, where the fog clung to the earth like a heavy blanket and the night seemed to stretch on forever, there was a story that everyone knew, but no one dared to speak of aloud. It was the tale of the Candleman, a mysterious figure who appeared only on the darkest of nights, carrying a single flickering candle. The elders of the town whispered that those who crossed paths with the Candleman were never to be seen again, their souls trapped forever in the wax of his ever-burning candle. Thomas was a boy with reckless spirit and a thirst for adventure, the kind that often led him into trouble. He had heard of the Candleman many times, told in hushed tones of frightened villagers around the hearth. But unlike the others, Thomas did not fear the story. He was intrigued by it. He longed to see if the legend was true, to know if the Candleman was real or just another ghost story meant to keep children in their beds. One night, when the fog was so thick that even a moon could not pierce through it, Thomas decided to test his courage. He waited until the village was asleep, the lights in the windows extinguished, and then he slipped out of his home, a small lantern clutched in his hand. The streets were deserted, the air heavy with an unnatural silence. The only sound was the soft crunch of Thomas's footsteps on the damp cobblestones. As he wandered through the empty streets, Thomas began to feel a chill creeping up his spine. The fog seemed to grow thicker with each step, swirling around him like a living thing, obscuring the path ahead. The houses of the village loomed out of the mist like ghosts, their outlines blurred and shifting. Thomas's heart began to race, but he pushed his fear aside, telling himself that it was just the fog playing tricks on his mind. But then he heard it. A faint, almost imperceptible sound. The flicker of a flame. Thomas froze, his breath catching in his throat. He strained his ears, trying to locate the source of the sound, but the fog muffled everything. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw it. A faint, flickering light just ahead of him, barely visible through the swirling mist. Curiosity and fear stirred within him, but Thomas couldn't resist the pull of the light. In an almost magnetic way, he began to walk towards it, his feet moving of their own accord. The closer he got, the more he could make out the figure holding the candle. The light revealed a tall, shadowy silhouette, its face hidden in darkness, the candle burning brightly in its outstretched hand. Thomas's heart pounded in his chest as he approached the figure. The air around him grew colder, the fog so thick now that he could barely see his own hands. The candle's flame flickered and danced, casting long, eerie shadows on the ground. Thomas wanted to turn back, to run as fast as he could, but his body betrayed him, his legs carrying him closer to this candle man. The figure remained still, silent as the graves, its face a void of darkness. As Thomas drew near, the candleman extended the candle towards him, the flame reflecting in Thomas's wide, terrified eyes. The light was mesmerizing, pulling him in, making his thoughts sluggish and his body heavy. Suddenly, the flame flared brighter, and Thomas felt a searing cold rush through his veins, freezing him in place. He couldn't move, couldn't breathe. It was as if the very life was being drained from him. His vision blurred, the world around him fading into darkness as his soul was drawn into the candle's flame. The last thing Thomas ever saw before the darkness claimed him was the candleman's face, or rather, the absence of one. Beneath the hood, there was nothing but a shadow, a deep, endless void that seemed to swallow all light. The candleman turned, the candle now burning brighter than before, and disappeared into the fog, leaving behind nothing but the echo of Thomas's final breath. The next morning, the village awoke to a thick, oppressive fog that seemed much heavier than usual. As the villagers went about their day, they noticed something strange at the local church altar. A new candle, small and unassuming, burning with steady, unwavering flame. The wax dripped slowly, each drop glistening like a tear, but no one wanted to question where the candle had come from or why it seemed to never go out. The villagers spoke in hushed whispers of Thomas's disappearance, but no one dared to suggest what they all secretly feared. And so, the story of the Candleman continued, a cautionary tale passed down through the generations. The villagers would often glance at the candles on the altar, one candle in particular, with its flame flickering ever so slightly, and shudder at the thought of the souls trapped within the wax, their voices forever silenced. But at night, when the fog rolled in and the village was shrouded in darkness, some claimed they could hear the faint flicker of a flame and see shadowy figures moving through the mist, carrying candles that burned with the light of lost souls. And in those moments, the villagers would lock their doors, draw their curtains tight, and prayed that the candleman would pass them by, and that they would not become next to vanish into the night. That was a fun story. The Candleman. Ooh. Spooky. I'm not gonna go outside now. I'm scared of the Candleman. He's gonna get me. Poor Thomas. I know. What the heck, man? Do you reckon his veins turning cold was him turning into wax? I don't want to be made into a candle. Oh my god. I'm gonna take a drink. Hello there, Neko, Yumiko. Hi, welcome. Spooky. It was pretty spooky, huh? I'm gonna take a bite of my food. Okay, we have another story. We can either read. It was chill. That's good. This story made me think of Candlejack from the Animaniacs. I don't know that. It doesn't scare me. Oh, you're so brave, Renzi. I'm kind of spooked. We have a story now called, we can either do The House on Black Hill, The Hungry Doll, The Lantern at the Edge of the Woods, Or we can read the hourglass and the arrowhead. I thought that was a lot of options. I'll give you two options. We can either read The House on Black Hill, which is from the internet. We can read The Lantern at the Edge of the Woods, which I wrote. The Woods one? Okay. I wrote this one. I wrote it very quickly. I hope that it's gonna be good. This is the lantern at the edge of the woods. Have you ever noticed how the forest feels different at night? It's quiet, but not peaceful, like it's listening. People in my village say that every Halloween, if you stay out late enough, a lantern appears deep between the trees. No one knows where it comes from. Some say it's an old hiker's ghost still searching for his campsite. Others say it's the forest itself luring people in. Whatever it is, the rule's simple. Never follow the light. It started with a group of friends. It's kind of like me and you, chat. Camping out on a cold night. They'd heard the stories, laughed them off, and decided to stay up past midnight just to see if the lantern was real. Mist pooled low across the ground, the cold air biting into their sleeping bags. The fire had burned down to glowing red coals, and just when they were about to fall to sleep, someone said, "Wait, look." Out past the tree line, faint through the fog, was a flicker. A soft, golden glow bobbing slowly between the tree trunks, like someone walking or holding a lantern. At first they thought it was just another camper. After all, these woods were very popular. But then they realized this part of the woods was closed off. No paths, no cabins, just endless forest. Still, it couldn't be real, surely not. But curiosity got the better of them. One by one, they grabbed their torches and made their way towards the light. The deeper they went, following the light, the quieter everything became. The sound of the crickets faded, and even their footsteps seemed to sink into the silence. Every few seconds, the lantern would disappear behind a tree, and then reappear a few meters further on, always just far enough ahead to stay out of their reach. It didn't sway like someone was carrying it. Rather, it floated. One of them whispered, "Hey, maybe it's just a prank." But no one laughed. They just kept walking, following that dim, steady glow. After a while, the group noticed something strange. No matter how far they went, the light never seemed closer. And when they turned to look back, they couldn't see their campsite anymore. The forest behind them was black. Completely black. "We should go back," someone said. But when they turned around again, there was another light. Behind them, a second lantern, burning faintly through the mist. And for a moment, just for a second, it looked like someone was holding it. They froze. Two lights now. One ahead, one behind. "Hello?" No answer. They tried again, louder this time. "Hello? Is that someone there? It's not funny, you know." The light ahead swayed once, side to side, like it was shaking its head. Suddenly, both lanterns went out. The darkness that followed felt alive. It pressed against their eyes, their ears, making its way up their legs and into their clothes. They could barely hear each other breathing. Frantically, they fumbled around with a torch, and when somebody finally flicked the beam on, there was a figure standing right behind them. They only saw it for a split second before screaming and dropping the light. I swear I saw a face, pale, hollow-eyed, dripping with something. Then, nothing. They were alone. Their friends gone. They bolted. Branches slapping their arms, roots catching their feet, the forest twisting around them like a maze. No matter which way they turned, the mist just got thicker. Help! Help! Where are you? I'm over here, one of them shouted. The fire! The fire! Another one said. I see it! Through the trees, the faint orange glow of their campsite. They stumbled towards it, gasping, laughing in release, and fell into the damp grass beside the fire pit. They made it back. Except one of them was missing. And there was another lantern burning at the edge of the woods. They thought maybe it was the missing person. Somehow just went ahead of them. But as they got closer, they saw that it wasn't a new lantern. It wasn't one of their lanterns. It wasn't a torch or anything. It was old, rusted metal, cracked glass, and inside, instead of a candle, there was something else. A small, curled up figure, no bigger than a hand. It looked like a little person made of ash and soot, glowing faintly from within. And carved into the lantern's metal handle, "You next." They left that night, their friend never returning, packed up and ran for the road before sunrise. When they told the ranger what happened, he just stared at them for a long time and said, "Funny thing, every Halloween there's always one more lantern out there." Some say if you walk those woods after midnight, you can still see them, the lanterns lined up just inside the trees, flickering in the dark, each one with a different phrase scratched into the handle. No one knows what happens if you touch one, but some campers have said they've heard voices whispering from the forest, calling their names, asking them to bring the light back home. So, if you ever see a lantern glowing at the edge of the woods, don't follow it, because if you do, it just might have your name on it. The end. Oh man, that one kind of spooked me, I have to say. I wrote it and it spooked me. You guys enjoying this spooky story so far? Yeah? Yay! Oh, let's read another one. We've got The House on Black Hill, The Haunted Mirror, or the doll one, Hungry Doll. This ambience is making me sleepy. We could do either the doll one or the house. The house on Black Hill. This website's pretty scary as well, actually. It's like I get flashbanged every time I open it because it's so bright. Haunted places scare me a little bit, like a haunted house. Maybe we should do the house then and see if you get scared. Let's do the house on Black Hill. I'm gonna eat a little bit more food first. Okay. The house on Black Hill. We got marshmallows. We should get marshmallows, huh? I had a marshmallow today when I had a hot chocolate. It was really yummy. Let's go. The next spooky story. The house on Black Hill. Alex had always been the skeptic in his village, a boy who scoffed at tales of the supernatural and the unknown. To him, the stories that the villagers whispered around campfires and during cold winter nights were nothing more than ghost stories meant to scare children. The one tale that intrigued him the most was that of the house on Black Hill, a dark, ominous structure, perched on the hill that overlooked the village like a vulture waiting for its next meal. The villagers claimed the house was cursed, alive with the tortured souls of those who had dared to enter and never return. It was said that the house fed on the fear of the living, consuming anyone foolish enough to step inside. For Alex, the legend was just that, a legend. So when his friends dared him to explore the house, he accepted without hesitation. The thought of proving everyone wrong excited him. He was going to be the one that would return from Black Hill unscathed with a story of how he had conquered the fears that held the village in thrall for generations. As dusk settled over the village, casting long shadows across the landscape, Alex made his way up Black Hill. The path was steep and winding, the air growing colder with each step. The house loomed ahead, an imposing silhouette against the darkening sky. Its windows were dark and empty, like lifeless eyes staring down at him, and its walls were covered in creeping ivy that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. When Alex reached the front door, he paused for a moment, taking in the eerie stillness that surrounded the house. The village below was far behind him now, the lights of the home barely visible through the trees. He felt a twinge of unease, but quickly pushed it aside. He'd come this far, and there was no turning back. He reached out and pushed the door open. It creaked on its rusted hinges. As soon as he stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind him with a force that rattled the old walls. Alex spun around, but the door was now locked. A handle, cold and unyielding under his hand. The air inside the house was thick and musty, filled with the scent of rot, dust, and decay. The wooden floorboards creaked beneath his feet, and the walls seemed to groan, as if the house was alive and aware of his presence. Undeterred, Alex moved deeper into the house. The interior was dark, the only light coming from the fading twilight that filtered through the grimy windows. Dust hung in the air, and cobwebs draped the corners like ancient curtains. As he walked, he began to hear strange noises, footsteps echoing down empty hallways, whispers that seemed to come from the very walls themselves, and the soft scraping sound of something dragging along the floor. The house seemed to shift around him, the layout changing as he moved from room to room. Hallways that should have led back to the entrance instead twisted and turned into unfamiliar corridors. Doors that had been opened moments before were now sealed shut, and new doors appeared where there had been none. It was as if the house was a living, breathing creature, trapping him within its labyrinth interior. As the hours wore on, Alex's confidence began to wane. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, and the house itself seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy. The walls trembled and groaned, the floor beneath him vibrating with a rhythmic thrum that matched his own racing heartbeat. The house was feeding on his fear, drawing strength from his growing sense of dread. Finally, Alex found a staircase leading down to the basement. He hesitated at the top of the stairs, peering into the darkness below. The air that wafted up from the basement was damp and cold, carrying that faint stench of decay. He knew that whatever secrets this house must hold, they were hidden in the depths below him. With a deep breath, Alex summoned his might and descended the staircase. The steps creaked under his weight, and the further down he went, the colder the air became. He reached the bottom and found himself in a large, cavernous room. The walls were slick with moisture, and the floor was covered in a thin layer of slimy, black sludge. It was then that he felt it. A cold, slimy tendril brushed against his leg. He looked down in horror to see the floor itself beginning to move, the sludge writhing and coiling like living flesh. Panic surged through him, and he turned to flee, but the floor beneath him split open, revealing a gaping jaw lined with sharp, jagged teeth. The walls around him trembled, the flesh-like material pulsing with a sickening rhythm. He tried to scream, but his sound was swallowed by the darkness as the jaws closed around him, dragging him down into the depths of the house. The house consumed him, absorbing him into its structure, his body becoming one with the walls and floors. His screams joined to the chorus of voices that echoed through the house, a cacophony of tortured souls, forever trapped within its living, breathing confines. The next morning, the house on Black Hill stood silent and still, its windows dark and empty. The villagers, unaware of what had transpired, continued to live in the fear of the house, its curse remaining unbroken, and the house waited, its hunger satiated for now, but always ready to claim its next victim. I'm like the house. I'm always hungry. Always hungry and waiting to claim my next bowl of food. You eat people? I don't eat people. Maybe I should. Oh man. Spooky. Ooh. That was a pretty good one, I think. Next, we can do... That's illegal? Well, it's only illegal if you get caught. IMO. Did that one scare you, Renzi? We can do one called The Girl Who Stayed Too Late, or we can do The Haunted Mirror. Just a little bit. My job is working then if you are getting spooked. We can do The Haunted Mirror, or The Girl Who Stayed Too Late. Or we can do the hungry doll. It gave me a little spooky vibes. Spooky. Hungry, the hungry doll. This one's kind of short, I think. Yeah, it is. Okay. Let me eat some more food, actually. One sec. Snack break. Okay. We see that chewing. Yay. Okay. The hungry doll. In the quiet village of Greymoor, nestled between rolling hills and thick forests, there was a tale whispered among the children, a tale of a doll unlike any other. The story was simple, yet terrifying. "Beware the hungry doll," they would say, a small porcelain figure with wide, staring eyes and a mouth that seemed too big for its face. The doll, it was said, came to life at night, feeding on the souls of those who dared to neglect it. Sophie had always loved her dolls. She had a collection of them, each one carefully placed on a shelf in her room, their dresses meticulously arranged, their hair combed and braided. Her favorite was a rag doll with button eyes and a soft stitched smile. But that changed one day when a package arrived from a distant relative. Hang on one second. My dog's here. Hello? Sorry. my dog came in. Where was I? I'll just go from the second one. Sophie had always loved her dolls. She had a collection of them, each one carefully placed on a shelf in her room, their dresses meticulously arranged, their hair combed and braided. Her favorite was a rag doll, with button eyes and a soft stitched smile. But that changed one day when a package arrived from a distant relative, an aunt she had never met, who lived far away, in a place Sophie could hardly remember. Inside the package was the hungry doll. Sophie's first impression was one of awe. The doll was exquisitely crafted, with a dress made of the finest silk and hair that shone like spun gold. Its porcelain face was delicate, almost lifelike, with wide, glassy eyes that seemed to follow her every move. There was something unsettling about its mouth. It was slightly open, revealing teeth that seemed too sharp, too real. Sophie's mother, charmed by the doll's beauty, placed it on the shelf with the others. Sophie, however, couldn't shake the feeling that there was something wrong with the doll. She would catch its eyes staring at her, even when she wasn't looking directly at it. At night, the feeling intensified, as if the doll was watching her, waiting. The first night after the hungry doll arrived, Sophie was woken by a faint scratching sound, like tiny claws scraping against wood. She sat up in bed, her heart pounding, but the room was silent. She looked over at her shelf, where her doll sat in a neat row, the hungry doll in the center, its wide eyes gleaming in the dim light. She told herself it was just her imagination, and eventually she fell back asleep. The next morning, something was different. Her favorite rag doll had been moved. It was no longer sitting upright with the others, but was instead slumped over, its button eyes facing the wall, as if it had been deliberately turned away from the hungry doll. Sophie frowned, but her mother dismissed it, saying it must have fallen over during the night. But Sophie knew her dolls never moved on their own. The scratching sounds continued every night, growing louder and more insistent. Sophie began to dread the nights, lying awake in bed, clutching her blankets tightly as the sounds crept through the darkness. She started to notice other changes too. Her dolls were often found in different positions, their faces turned away from the hungry doll as if they were trying to escape its gaze. Sophie tried to ignore it, but her fear gnawed at her. She began to feel like a prisoner in her own room, unable to escape the doll's watchful eyes. She tried to move the hungry doll to a different shelf, but no matter where she placed it, its eyes seemed to follow her, always watching, always waiting. One night, Sophie awoke with a start, a cold sweat clinging to her skin. The room was deathly silent, the air thick with an oppressive stillness. She felt a presence in the room, something dark and malevolent. Slowly, she turned her head towards the foot of her bed, and there it was, the hungry doll, standing on her bed, its wide eyes gleaming in the moonlight that filtered through the curtains. The doll's mouth began to open, slowly and deliberately, revealing sharp, needle-like teeth that gleamed in the dim light. Sophie's breath caught in her throat, her body frozen with fear. She wanted to scream, to run, but her limbs wouldn't obey her. The doll began to move, crawling up the bed, its tiny hands clutching the blanket as it drew closer. In a voice that sounded like the rustling of dead leaves, the doll whispered, "I'm hungry." Sophie's heart pounded in her chest. She felt a sharp pain as the doll's teeth sank into her, not tearing flesh, but something deeper, something more vital. It was as if the doll was draining her very life force, consuming her essence with every bite. Her vision blurred and a wave of exhaustion swept over her. The room grew darker, the world fading away as the doll continued its feast. Sophie tried to scream, but no sound came out. The last thing she saw was the doll-wide, staring eyes filled with an insatiable hunger. When morning came, Sophie's parents found her lying in bed, pale and lifeless. Her skin cold to the touch. The hungry doll sat on her chest, its eyes now dull, its mouth closed, the sharp teeth hidden once more. The doll was placed on the back of the shelf, a strange, heavy silence settling over the room. The villagers whispered about Sophie's death, but no one dared to speak of the doll. It remained on the shelf, its once vibrant eyes now dark, as if it's been satiated for the time being. But the villagers suspected the truth. The doll was always hungry and always waiting. And so, the children of Greymore were warned to take care of their toys, to cherish them and keep them close. But the hungry doll remained, watching from its perch, its hunger growing with each passing day, waiting for the next child to come along, to love it, and to become its next meal. Thank you so much, Dorpy, for the follow on Twitch. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mama. The doll. Malevolent is a Disney movie. Oh, is it? Oh wait, are you talking about Maleficent? Because Maleficent is a Disney movie, but I don't know about Malevolent. Malevolent means like really evil. Damn, that was a good one, huh? That was a good one. Thank you so much, Domokyo, for the follow. I appreciate it. Thank you. Holy. Yeah, it was such a good one. I still think the Candleman was my favorite, but that's because that's what we started with. Okay, we now have either the Haunted Mirror, the Girl Who Stayed Too Late, or we have the Cursed Carnival. The Girl Who Stayed Too Late. Okay, okay. I wrote this one. Hello, hello, hello. I was about to say that one. Great minds think alike. I'm just gonna have some water and some food. I'll just for 1 second. Okay. Let's get into it. I wrote this one, so I'm sorry if it's bad. I'm not a writer. The Girl Who Stayed Too Late. You know how some towns have that one street everyone avoids at night? Not because of crime or anything, just bad energy. In the town of Windermere, that was Gallows Lane. A long, cracked stretch of road lined with half-collapsed houses and crooked power lines that hummed even when the wind was still. They said if you walked down Gallows Lane after midnight, you'd hear footsteps behind you, perfectly in sync with your own. And if you ever turned around, you'd see yourself standing there. One Halloween, a girl named Mira decided to prove that it was all nonsense. She wasn't scared of some dumb story. Her friends dared her to walk the whole lane and film it for YouTube. Just don't stop walking, they joke. And don't look back. Mira smiled, started recording, and stepped into the darkness. The street was silent, except for her sneakers crunching in the glass and gravel on the floor. Most of the houses were boarded up. One or two still had curtains, but they were yellowed and motionless. Her phone flashlight cut through the mist in a narrow cone. "All right," she whispered to the camera. Well, nothing spooky yet. But then she heard it. Footsteps. Soft, deliberate, and half a beat behind her own. She laughed nervously, trying to not think about it. It must just be an echo, or someone's following me. She turned off her flashlight for a moment, just to see. But then the sound stopped too. When she switched it back on, there was still nobody there. She continued walking, faster this time, the footsteps behind her growing ever impatient. Every house looked the same now. Same window broken, same mailbox tilted, same dead tree leaning over the yard. It was like she was walking in circles. She opened her GPS. Nothing. No signal. The timer on her phone said she'd been only walking 3 minutes, but it felt like 20. And then she passed a house. A new house that she hadn't seen before. It had a flickering porch light out the front. It was the first sign of electricity she'd seen all night. A faint, dying bulb swinging slightly. As she got closer, the door creaked open. Just a few inches. "Don't stay too late," she heard someone whisper. Slam! The door shut. She froze. "Hello?" she called out. No answer. The porch light turned off. The door was locked. When she looked at her phone screen, the camera showed something behind her. A shadow, standing just out of the light. She whipped around, determined to catch whoever it was. But it wasn't there. The shadow didn't move. She looked back at her phone and saw her reflection in the phone camera, smiling back. She started running. Every window she passed had a face in it now, her own, staring back at her, watching her run. Every time she blinked, the faces got a little closer, a little clearer. Her phone screen started flickering. At last she had signal. Messages from her friends flooded in. "Where are you? Mirror, where are you? You're still walking." But she wasn't. She had stopped. She was staring at the end of the lane where a street light now burned white and steady. Under it stood a figure. It looked like her. Same hoodie, same shoes, same hair. But its head was tilted at a strange, stiff angle, like it hadn't quite learned how to hold it right. The other mirror smiled and lifted a hand in greeting. The real mirror slowly waved back. The figure started walking towards her, in perfect rhythm with her steps, matching every motion. When Mirror stopped, so did it. A faint whisper. She was so scared. "Who are you?" The other one whispered the same words, half a second late. Then her phone buzzed. The screen showed a live view of herself, standing under that streetlight, smiling, waving. And behind the camera, another face, moving closer. They found her phone the next morning on the side of Gallows Lane, still recording. The last few seconds showed her walking into the fog, and then a hand reaching out from the camera's point of view and covering the lens. People say if you walk Gallows Lane after midnight, you'll sometimes see a light at the very end. A girl holding her phone, waiting for someone to wave back. If you wave first, she'll smile and disappear. If she waves first, you'll never leave the lane. She stayed too late, clearly. That one was just a quick one. I was writing these in like the 10 minutes I had before I started streaming. A ghost. It's a ghost. A ghost of herself. Holy. Hi, Mr. Yumiko, and Kaka. Hi, Xavier. Welcome. We're telling spooky ghost stories. Woo! What do you guys think of that one? Let me eat some food. It was good. Awesome. Yay! I'm so glad. And my dog was gonna bark. I just need to... Puppy, puppy. Let's give her a pat. Okay. Next. I couldn't hear you on my phone properly, so I'm using my earbuds. Okay. We have the Cursed Carnival, the Haunted Mirror. You can have either the Cursed Carnival or the Haunted Mirror. I'm just gonna have some more water. Okay. Chat, do you want the Haunted Mirror or the Cursed Carnival next? I think the Cursed Carnival sounds kind of fun, but a Haunted Mirror, I know this one's good as well. Haunted Mirror? Should we do Haunted Mirror? Let's do the Haunted Mirror. Kind of similar to the last one, actually. Okay. story is about Claire. The Haunted Mirror. Claire had always been fascinated by antiques, the allure of old objects with mysterious histories drawing her in like a moth to the flame. When she found this mirror at a local market, she knew she had to have it. The mirror was beautiful, so beautiful, unlike anything she'd ever seen. Its ornate frame carved with intricate swirling patterns that seemed almost alive, shifting and changing when she glanced away. The glass was polished to perfection, reflecting the world with an almost unnatural clarity. It was a piece that spoke of forgotten times and untold secrets, and Claire was captivated. The old man who sold it to her was eager to get rid of it. His hands trembled as he wrapped it carefully in a cloth, his eyes avoiding hers as he muttered something about the mirror being old and temperamental. Claire didn't pay much attention to his words. She was too entranced by her new find. She carried the mirror home with a sense of such excitement, eager to find the perfect spot for it in her bedroom. Once home, she hung the mirror on the wall opposite her bed, admiring how it caught the light and made her room feel larger and more mysterious. She stood in front of it, admiring her reflection, pleased with how the mirror seemed to almost enhance her features. But as she turned to leave, she thought she saw something move in the background. Just a flicker in the corner of her eye, like a shadow passing quickly out of view. She shook her head, telling herself it was just her imagination, and went on with her day. That night, as Claire got ready for bed, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The mirror seemed to draw her attention, pulling her gaze towards it, even when she tried to look away. She caught glimpses of things that shouldn't be there, dark shapes lurking in the corners of the room, faces that weren't her own staring back at her, their expressions twisted and unnatural. She tried to dismiss it as fatigue, but the unease lingered, making it difficult to fall asleep. Over the next few days, the strange occurrence only grew worse. The mirror's reflections became more distorted, more unsettling. Claire began to see her deepest fears play out in the glass. Visions of being lost in a dark, endless void, of faceless figures reaching out to drag her down into the shadows. The mirror seemed to taunt her, showed her things she never wanted to see, things that made her feel cold and hollow. Then came the night where everything changed. Claire was brushing her hair in front of the mirror, trying to ignore the prickling sensation of being watched, when she noticed something strange. Her reflection wasn't moving in sync with her. She raised her hand to touch her face, but the reflection did not mimic the action. Instead, it stood there, still as a statue, staring back at her with a smile that sent chills down her spine. The smile was wrong, too wide, too knowing. It was a smile that didn't belong on her face. And then, the reflection began to move on its own, slowly, deliberately, raising its hand to press against the glass. Claire's heart pounded in her chest as the room grew cold, the temperature dropping so rapidly that her breath misted in the air. The mirror started to glow with an eerie, sickly light, casting long, unnatural shadows across the room. A whisper filled the air, soft at first, but growing louder, more insistent. It was coming from the mirror, from the twisted reflection of that now seemed more real than she did. The voice was cold, telling her that it wanted her soul, that it had been waiting for someone like her, someone who could be trapped, someone who could take its place. Claire tried to tear her gaze away, but she couldn't. The mirror held her, its pull irresistible. She felt herself being drawn closer, her body moving against her will. The reflection's hand pushed against the glass, and to her horror, it began to break through. The surface of the mirror rippling like water. The hand reached out, its fingers cold and solid as they wrapped around her wrist, pulling her towards the glass. She struggled, but the force was too strong. With a final desperate scream, Claire was yanked into the mirror, her body passing through the glass as if it were a doorway. On the other side, she found herself in a twisted, nightmarish version of her bedroom. The walls were dark and warped, the wallpaper peeling off the walls, the air thick with a suffocating sense of dread. Everything was wrong, distorted, as if she was seeing the world through a funhouse mirror. And there, standing on the other side of the glass, was her reflection. Only it wasn't her anymore. It was the ghost, the spirit that had been trapped in the mirror for centuries, now free to walk in the real world wearing her face. It turned and smiled at her one last time, a grin full of malice and triumph, before it stepped out of the room, leaving Claire trapped inside the mirror, pounding on the glass with no one to hear her screams. Claire's family noticed the change in her that night. She was quieter, her movements a little too precise, her smile a little too wide. They dismissed it as fatigue or stress, never suspecting that the girl they saw was not their daughter, but a spirit that had taken her place. The haunted mirror remained in her room, its glass now dark and lifeless, waiting for the next unsuspecting soul to look into its depths and fall victim to the curse within. Thank you so much for the follow, Bit Children. Sorry I'm not immediately responding to the followers, guys. I'm trying to stay in the immersion of the story. What did you guys think of that one? That one was really cool, I think. I read this one before stream to myself, and I went, it's okay. That's good. Amazing. I'm just gonna have some water. Gave you chills? That's the idea. It's spooky, spooky ghost stories. Birmingham. What's Birmingham? I'm from Australia. I'm not from the UK. I know I kind of sound like it though, which is a bit odd. I don't know why. I got goosebumps. Ooh, goosebumps. I feel like everyone needs to be like cuddled up with a blanket right now. It's nighttime for me, but I suppose not for everyone else. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for the donation packs. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yay! Thank you. Did that actually happen? These are fictional stories, so no, a person didn't actually get pulled into a mirror. But you know, you never know. You never know. I'm just lurking. That's okay. Thank you so much for the donation packs. I really appreciate it. You're always so nice to me. I'm glad that you're enjoying the spooky stories. There's no text-to-speech for the Ko-Fi because I turned it off to not ruin the immersion. Okay. We have time for quite a few more stories, actually. So, we have the Cursed Carnival, or we have, what's another one? Let me have a look. The Whispering Violin, or the Hollow Eyes. So there's the Hollow Eyes, Whispering Violin, or the Cursed Carnival. Cursed Carnival is like clowns. The Industrial Revolution and its consequences, please, please, please. The Industrial Revolution's consequences will make people fall asleep. Although I suppose if this is ASMR, it's kind of what you want, huh? Oh my gosh, my audio ended. Oh no. Oh no, my hour audio ended. Let's restart it. Things are never what they seem. It could be real. That's true. If you guys have... I just realized I have an ornate mirror in my bedroom. Spooky. Very spooky. I do not want to be put into a mirror. Yeah. We can either do... We got the Cursed Carnival, or the Hollow Eyes, or the other one that I forgot the name of. Whispering violin. Whispering violin. How do violins? Huh, you can pluck violins, I guess. I'm scared to look into mirrors now. Well, you never know. Have you ever been chased by someone with an axe? I haven't. No, but I have been chased with a taser through the woods, actually, which did actually happen, and it was really scary. I know the story was fake. I'm just shocked. Fair enough. Fair enough. I am very much hoping that I don't spook myself. Hi, welcome. We're reading spooky stories today. I did get chased. I got chased through the woods with a taser once. I was at a party and a bunch of people crashed the party, and the party was like in the middle of like the woods. I don't remember why I was at a party in the woods. 14-year-old me, 15-year-old me was having a great time. Clearly. Anyway, I was in the middle of the woods, and yeah, this like group of like boys, like eshays. I don't know if you have eshays in other countries. For people in the UK, eshays are kind of like roadmen. Yeah, a bunch of eshays like started running through the woods when they had tasers, and we were like, oh my god, and we ran and we had to call the police. It was like a whole thing. Oh yeah. It was terrifying. I was very scared. Little baby goth me was very scared. Roadman. Yeah. I am just gonna take another bite of my food, and then we will get on to the next one. You guys have to pick. Are you goth? I used to be way more goth than I am now. When I was a teen, I was super goth. And now I am not really anymore. I still kind of dress goth, but I dress more like Lolita and kind of like, more comfortable now, I guess. No. I still have all my goth clothes. I do go out, but I'm more just like gothic Lolita now. More cute goth, I guess. Or like, kind of e-girly, I guess. But I didn't really like to use that term because I don't like the associations with it. But if you're thinking like, yeah. But I love gothic Lolita, so I do wear that. But I wear a lot of Lolita just in general. I went to a party like that when I was 14 in the winter. I also went to a party like that when I think it was in the winter. What about the association of Lolita? Well, the association of Lolita is just not real. Everyone always confuses the clothing with the book. And the clothing comes from Japan originally, from Harajuku. So, it does have... Loli comes from the word Lolita, but Lolita has been around for well long before Loli was. No, I meant the clothing. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the association of Lolita I don't really care much about because it was originally Lolita came from the rebellion against social norms in Japan and against the idea of having to kind of conform to the normality of society. So, I actually quite like the association, the original association of it. Plus the clothes are so cute, but more so for the e-girl thing, it's like I probably do dress quite e-girly, but I don't like the association of people associating it with like the TikTok thing and the like OnlyFans and that type of stuff. No hate to anyone that does it, like you do you, but that's not for me. I get that I shit on a neighbor's windshield once. Fight the power. Guys, please do not shit on your neighbor's windshields. Oh, God. You're super cute. Thank you. Here in the UK, we shank 'em up, blood. I am not in the UK. Blank, can you... Yeah, for real, bro. I've never been to the UK. Maybe I should... Guys, if I was to go to the UK, where should I go? I can give people a bad name. Exactly. That's the thing. And it's like, I'm older than most people think I am, right? And I was dressing kind of like quote-unquote e-girly or like cutesy goth. We used to call it teddy bear goth. Back in my day, e-girl didn't exist, okay? It was called teddy bear goth. And, when e-girl came around and people started style exploded, I was like, I all of a sudden started getting all of these, like, dude, I would be walking around, and these, like, teens would be, like, barking at me. And these, like, tweens, like, 10 and 11-year-olds would start barking at me, and I was like, oh my god. It was crazy. I never thought I'd be barked at by an 11-year-old. Yumi 67, 67. Jesus Christ. Okay. Next story. I'm gonna vote for the Whispering Violin, but there is also the Hollow Eyes, or the Carnival, Coast Carnival. Or there's another one, it's called Shadow in the Attic, but the Shadow in the Attic one's really short, so I think the other two are better. I don't know places in the UK. Well, considering you're also from Australia, that would make sense. Barking at strangers is weird. If being your friends is a joke, then it's alright. You look 5 or 6. 50 or 60, sure. 5 or 6? Absolutely not. I am well past that. By like a bit. Speak for yourself, but don't use how it's socialized. Well, I'm a cat. Okay, I'm a kitty cat. I'm not a dog. I don't want anyone barking at me. Let's get on with the story, chat. Read the freaking story. Yes, Halloween time. Wait, what are you guys dressing as for Halloween? I am dressing as a, I'm dressing as a, oh, what is it called? I don't know, it's like it had a name. I'm like a housewife, but instead of being a housewife, I'm gonna cook you up and put you in a pie. Like, I'm like a cannibalist housewife, and I've got like a little apron that has like blood and handprints all over it, and I have like cute little white stockings that have got blood all over it. I could be a nurse. Guys, should I be a bloody nurse? I could make it into a nurse costume. No! Don't spray me! No! I'm dressing as Dexter. I don't know what Dexter is. Dexter sounds like a dog's name, though. Ooey, ah, ooey, ee. Ooey, ooey, ah, ee, ah. I celebrate till fireworks didn't spook me. There's fireworks on Halloween? There's no fireworks here on Halloween. I don't celebrate Halloween? Oh, really? I didn't know that. I just assumed everyone did. Although, to be fair, Halloween is an American holiday, originally. Well, actually, it was originally a pagan holiday, but, you know, you don't want to get me into that because I will talk. In the UK, there is? Really? Oh, what the heck? I didn't know that. That's kind of cool. We have fireworks in my city every Saturday night, and you can hear them from where I am because I'm in the city. So every Saturday night, there's fireworks. Have you ever been to Cessnock? Is that a real place? That sounds like a drink. Fireworks never stop? Oh my gosh, the UK sounds miserable. Although we do have them every Saturday here. Or at least in my city, anyway. It's because they sell them so close to Guy Fawkes Day. What the heck is Guy Fawkes Day? I feel like you guys are making stuff up. I'm dressing up as a loser. I don't change anything. Oh my gosh. I was just gonna go in Gothic Lolita and tell everyone that I was a vampire. That's what I did last year. I went in a Gothic Lolita dress. I went in a Gothic Lolita dress and put like vampire things in and just told everyone that I was a vampire. There's fireworks at my area for New Year's. Yeah, mine too, and the shows. I would say what show if this wasn't online. There is a drone show which is so cool in my area. This dude wanted to blow up Parliament and it failed. What? Oh, is that Guy Fawkes Day? Oh, okay. Interesting. So you celebrate a day of a guy. Hang on, actually, I want to get this straight. You celebrate you celebrate a guy blowing up Parliament? You have a day for him? That's kind of sus. I can't believe British people like to celebrate a terrorist. Yeah, that's kind of weird. That's like us having a Ned Kelly Day. Is that his name? The ranger? Bush ranger? Ned Kelly? It's Australian? Cessnock's in Australia? No, I haven't. I'm a city girl. If it's anywhere outside of the city, I haven't been to it. I've been to New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland, South Australia. Is it Adelaide in South Australia? I think Adelaide's in South Australia. I've been to Adelaide. I went to Adelaide when I was like year 7. He drags Bob, all the members of Parliament, SMH. We had a Prime Minister go missing when swimming, and then we decided the best way to honor his memory was to make a swimming pool. Yeah, it was to make a swimming pool. And not only did we make the swimming pool, we named it after him. So, yeah, Australian politics, guys. My sister has a little black kitty. It's like he doesn't even hear the bangs. Well, my dogs don't. I've got 2 dogs and a cat, and none of them have any issue with fireworks. I think it's a very specific thing. I really like fireworks. I love them so much. Even though I'm like mega autistic, I'm like, oh my god, I love fireworks because it's like the lights are so bright, and it's like, I'm like, has anyone seen Wreck-It Ralph? You know how the moths are like attracted to they're attracted to the laser beam in Wreck-It Ralph, like a moth to a flame, and they will get like zapped. That's like me in fireworks. I'm like, I get like completely like, they're pretty, but gosh, the noise makes me anxious. Fair enough, fair enough. I remember a couple of years ago where areas of Australia had earthquakes. Gee, I don't remember that. What? There was places in Australia that had earthquakes? I don't remember that. Thank you so much for the follow, Mr. Random Facts. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I remember a couple of years ago, I do? What? Oh my god, I didn't even know that places in Australia had earthquakes. I mean, I guess that tells you I'm not in one of the areas that have earthquakes. I forgot what year, but it was a small earthquake, I remember. Actually, that does vaguely ring a bell. I'm in the area where the whole sky turns orange when there's bushfires. That's pretty cooked. That is pretty cooked. Did that Prime Minister just calmly walk into the ocean? I don't know. I don't actually know the full story. I'll look it up. I'll look it up and do one. Places don't have a bunch, like just one. Oh, okay. That makes sense then. Are you guys still interested in me reading these stories? Do you want me to read another one? Or are you just wanting to look at chat now? Because I don't mind. I'll do either. If you wanna, well, it's up to you. It's up to you. Do what you want. I want to go to the UK. I want to like experience it. I want to see. It's your stream. Yeah, but I want to know what you guys want. If I could choose how I die, it'd be suffocating in a snuggly kitty pile. I don't feel like I'd want to suffocate. If I could choose how I died, it would be in my sleep and I wouldn't feel it or know it. That would be how I would die. I would like instant, painless, quick death. I don't like pain. I don't want to suffer. I also want to visit UK whenever I'm too scared to ride a plane. I'm scared during takeoff and landing because statistically that's where the most crashes happen. But when I'm in the sky, I'm like, yeah, it's chill. Also, Australian planes are really, really good. We very rarely have anything happen. And the plane food is pretty good most of the time. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, I'm not super short, guys, but I'm like small enough that I can curl up in a plane chair really comfortably. It's crazy how Wolverine and Deadpool casually take pain time and time again. I'm not Wolverine or Deadpool. I don't know how they do it. Planes are so scary. I hate the feeling in the sky when you feel it falling down a little. I kind of like it. It's like being on a swing. It's like wee, wee, wee. But I also like, they drug me up to put me on planes. I'm not good on planes, so it's like, I'll like, I will like get on a plane and I'll be on like Bellingham and I'll be on like and I'll be on some type of travel sick pill, and then I'll take like my sleep medication, and then I'm dead to the world. I'm having the best nap ever. I'm scared of heights, so flying is a no-no for me. But you can't. I'm scared of heights as well, but it's like you can't even see that you're in the sky. You just are. You know. Ugh. I hate elevators. Oh my god. I love elevators. They're so much more convenient than stairs. And it's like if you get stuck in an elevator, you're not gonna die. They'll just like there's so many protocols. I've been stuck in an elevator. Like you just have to wait. You just have to wait and then they get you out, you know? Better than being stuck in something else. Yeah. Anyone ever fall off a swing after going too high as a kid? I did. I was on the first time I ever went on the big swing. I actually I flipped off the other end and rolled and then smacked my head on the seesaw. It was really sad. I was very sad. I don't like the feeling of elevators and I have fear of getting stuck in them. Well, it's very unlikely that you do get stuck, to be fair. But I can see why you would want to get stuck in them. I'm too paranoid to go in a lift. How are you guys living your lives? It's like, I found out the other day one of my friends is scared of escalators. I'm like, what? And I jokingly said to him, I was like, what do you think it's going to do to you? Eat you? And they looked me dead in the eyes and they said, yes, Yumi. I think the escalator's going to eat me. It's going to open up and I'm going to fall through. And I was like, what? It's a real thing, guys. It's a real thing. People have have been freaking eaten by escalators. How terrifying is that? The panel has fallen out and they've gotten stuck and then eaten into the cogs of the escalator. Oh my god, it was so scary. I've seen too many Final Destination movies. I haven't seen any. My shoelace got stuck in the escalator before. Mine did as well. And I had to press the emergency stop button on the escalator to get my shoe out. And I walked up to the security guard. And I was like, excuse me, sir. I'm really sorry, but I had to turn the escalator off. And he was so, over it. He was like, why? And I was like, because my shoelace got stuck. And he went, oh, okay. I was like, okay, I'm sorry. I was only 11 at the time. I was so scared. I jumped the swing when I was going super high and then winded myself. Holy, I don't like jumping off swings. It's funny that because I'm actually terrified of heights, but I used to be a trapeze artist. I feel like I say all these things that I used to do, and it feels like I'm making it up. But guys, I've lived a long life. I've done a lot of things. I used to be a trapeze artist, and before I would jump off the platform on the trapeze, I actually, would feel like I was going to throw up every time, and my legs would turn to jelly, and I actually, I felt so sick. I do not miss that feeling. But then, once I was in the air, there were very few things that beat that feeling of flying through the air on a trapeze. I just pulled mine out. Oh, the shoelace. Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna read another story now. We are going to read. Let's read The Whispering Violin. In the remote village of Shadowmoor, nestled deep within a valley surrounded by towering snow-capped mountains, the people lived simple, quiet lives. The village, isolated from the outside world by the rugged terrain, had its share of superstitions and old tales, passed down through generations. One such tale was that of the Whispering Violin, an instrument of haunting beauty and evil power. The villagers spoke of it in hushed tones, warning of the curse that clung to its strings. strings said to have been soaked in the tears of a lover scorned and betrayed. Esme, oh my god, it's like the girl from Twilight. Esme was a girl with music in her soul. From a young age, she'd been captivated by melodies and harmonies, finding solace in the notes that floated through her mind. She had taught herself to play the old violin her father had left behind, spending hours each day practicing in the quiet of her room, the music a balm for her restless spirit. But the violin she played was old and worn, its sound thin, its strings frayed and reedy, and Esme often dreamed of finding an instrument worthy of her love for music. One crisp autumn afternoon, as Esme wandered through the outskirts of the village, she stumbled upon an old abandoned church. The building was crumbling, its stone walls covered in ivy, its roof sagging under the weight of the years. Curiosity piqued, Esme pushed open the heavy wooden door, the hinges creaking in protest, and stepped inside. The interior of the church was dark and cold, the air thick with the scent of a damp wood and decay. But as Esme's eyes adjusted to the dim light, she noticed something gleaming in the shadows near the altar. Her heart quickened as she approached, her footsteps echoing in the silence. There, lying on a dusty pew, was a violin, unlike any she'd ever seen. The violin was exquisite, its wood dark and polished to a deep, rich luster. The strings, though old, seemed to hum with a faint, almost imperceptible melody, as if they were alive with the echoes of forgotten songs. Esme reached out to touch it. Oh, I've lost my bit. Oh, Esme reached out to touch it, her fingers trembling with excitement. The moment her hand brushed the wood, a shiver ran down her spine, and she felt a strange, almost magnetic pull towards the instrument. Unable to resist, Esme picked up the violin, the weight of it comforting in her hands. She could feel the music within it, waiting to be released, and she knew she had to play it. Without a second thought, she carried the violin home, her heart pounding with anticipation and excitement. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the mountains and the village was bathed in twilight, Esme sat by her window, the whispering violin cradled in her lap. She drew the bow across the strings, and the instrument sprang to life, its voice rich and resonant, filling the room with a haunting melody. The music was unlike anything Esme had ever played before, each note infused with a depth of emotion that seemed to reach into her very soul. As Esme played, she began to notice something strange. The violin seemed to whisper, at first faint and distant, but it grew louder and louder, more insistent. At first she couldn't make out the words, but as the music swelled, the whispers became clearer, revealing the darkest secrets of those who listened. The villagers, drawn in by the sound of the violin, started to gather outside Esme's window, their faces pale in the fading light. They stood in silence, mesmerized by the music, unaware of the danger that lurked within the notes. But as the whispers grew louder, the atmosphere in the village began to change. The violin spoke of hidden affairs, of lies and betrayals, of long-buried grudges and unspoken resentments. The secrets were twisted and cruel, aimed at turning friends against each other, lovers into enemies. The villagers, their minds filled with venomous whispers, began to argue and fight, the bonds that had held them together unraveling before Esme's eyes. Esme watched in horror as the village descended into chaos, the music still flowing from her fingers even as she tried to stop. The violin had taken hold of her, its whispers filling her mind, drowning out her own thoughts. She tried to put the instrument down, but it was as if her hands were no longer her own, the bow moving across the strings with a life of its own. The violin's voice grew darker, more evil, and Esme felt a cold dread settle over her. The whispers told her of the violin's origin, a tale of a lover betrayed, of a heart broken beyond repair. The violin had been cursed by the scorned lover, its strings soaked in the tears of the broken-hearted. It fed on the misery it created, growing stronger with each note, each secret revealed. Desperate to break free of the violin's grip, Esme tried to destroy it. She threw it to the ground, but the instrument did not shatter. Instead, it lay there, humming with dark energy, the whispers growing louder, more frenzied. The villagers, driven mad by the secrets they had heard, began to turn on each other, their eyes wild with anger and fear. Esme realized too late that the true nature of the violin was not just an instrument. It was a weapon, a tool of destruction designed to tear apart the fabric of the village. The violin would not allow her to stop playing, its curse binding her to the music, to the darkness it spread. As the final note rang out, the violin's whisper reached a crescendo, filling Esme's mind with a cacophony of voices. Her vision blurred, her strength drained, and she felt her body collapse into the floor, the violin still clutched in her hands. The whispers faded into silence, and the village was left in ruins, the people broken and scattered, their lives forever altered by the secrets that they had heard. When the villagers finally returned to Esme's house, they found her lifeless body, the whispering violin lying beside her. The instrument was silent, its strings still, its curse complete. The villagers, fearful of the violin's power, buried it deep within the earth, hoping to seal away its darkness. But the whispering violin was not so easily silenced. It lay dormant, waiting for the next musician to find it, to pick it up and play its cursed melody. The legend of the whispering violin lived on, a tale of sorrow and betrayal, a warning to those who would seek to uncover the secrets hidden within the music. And in the quiet of the night, when the wind howls through the mountains, some people still swear that they can hear the faint strains of a violin, whispering in the darkness and waiting for the next soul to fall under its spell. The end. Oh. I just realized the worst superpower ever, the ability to not feel pain. I think that's a real thing some people have, where like their nerve endings don't work or something. That story wasn't as good as the other ones. I'm sad. That story wasn't scary. Or spooky. It was scary? I didn't think it was spooky. Oh. I need to get up and stretch for a second, chat. I will be right back. I'm back, chat. Woo. We're gonna have another spooky story. We can do some chatting now. We've got half an hour before stream ends. I'm gonna eat some food. Welcome back. Thank you. Those weren't paintings, those were windows. Which windows and what paintings? Can you imagine windows that look like paintings? Well, I suppose people did. That's why stained glass exists. I'm tucked away like a little burrito in my bed. Well, this will be sure to make sure you either fall asleep very nice and sound, or that you don't fall asleep and that you're going to be haunted by the spooky stories for the rest of your life. Let's see another story. We have the grinning man. We have the painted door. Ooh, the midnight train. The creeping fog. Oh hey, the Headless Horseman. That's a pretty classic one. We could read the Headless Horseman. It's very Halloween coded. It's so relaxing. That's good. This is my first ever ASMR. Or my first ever live ASMR. I've recorded ASMRs. I just need to post them. If you go to my YouTube, I'll be posting one there soon. Yeah. Normally I'm super loud. So it's very different for me. I'm normally super loud and chaotic. But then now I'm just like, I want it to be chill. Tomorrow I'm going to be cutting a pumpkin. Which will be very loud and chaotic, but it'll be lots of fun. Let's do the Headless Horseman. I think that the Headless Horseman is a pretty classic tale. Everyone knows about the Headless Horseman, right? Where he runs around and he's trying to kills people to try and take their heads to replace his own. Oh my gosh! Derby, thank you so much for the Tier 1 sub. Thank you so much. I don't know why my little emote didn't go off. What the heck? Thank you so much. Hang on, I'll do it for you. I'll test it. It's so cute. Thank you so much for the sub. I really appreciate it. That's so cool, guys. I've got so many subs for this month. Yeah. I hope that I reach 190 subscribers soon on Twitch. That would be very cool. And we're really close to hitting 1K on YouTube. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let us do the... Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, there we go. It worked. Yay! Thank you so much for subscribing on YouTube. Yeah! Oh, thanks for being so amazing. Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad that you found my channel. I'm normally very loud and chaotic, so you have happened to find me at a bit of a more quiet moment. But that's okay. I can be like this as well. I hope that you will enjoy your stay in my little corner of the internet. Yeah! Okay, let's read the Headless Horseman, chat. Let's read the Headless Horseman. In the village of Black Hollow, nestled deep within a valley surrounded by dark, ancient woods, the people lived in constant fear of the Headless Horseman. The legend had been passed down through generations, each telling more terrifying than the last. On foggy nights when the mist rolled in thick and heavy, it was said that the ghostly rider would appear, searching for his lost head. The horseman was a figure of nightmare, a headless spectator. A headless spectre? What is a spectre? I'm gonna say a headless ghost. A headless ghost astride a massive black horse, his tattered cloak billowing behind him as he hunted for a replacement head, cutting down anyone who crossed his path. William, a boy of 15 with a taste for adventure and a stubborn disbelief in old superstitions, had heard the story many times before. The villagers would gather around the fire, their faces lit by the flames, and speak in hushed tones of those who had disappeared into the woods, never to return. But William was not like the other villagers. He scoffed at their fear, dismissing the legend as nothing more than a tale to scare children. He was determined to prove that this so-called headless horseman was simply a myth or a figment of their imagination. One particularly foggy night, when the air was thick with mist and the moon was hidden behind a veil of clouds, William decided to venture into the woods. He was certain that the villagers were wrong, but there was nothing out there but trees and shadows. Ignoring the warnings of his mother and the pleas of his friends, he set out with only a lantern to light his way, determined to explore the forest to its fullest and uncover the truth. As William walked, the sounds of the village faded into the distance, replaced by the eerie silence of the forest. The trees towered above him, their branches twisted and gnarled, reaching out like skeletal fingers in the gloom. The fog curled around his feet, swirling in thick, heavy tendrils that seemed to pull him deeper into the woods. Despite his initial confidence, a sense of unease began to creep over him. The air was cold and damp, and the silence was oppressive, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. The deeper William ventured, the more the fog thickened, until it became almost impossible to see more than a few feet ahead. He could no longer tell which direction he was going. All the trees looked the same, their twisted forms looming out of the mist. Just as he was beginning to consider turning back, he heard it, the distant sound of hooves. Hooves? Hooves, thundering and pounding against the earth. William froze, his heart racing in his chest. The sound grew louder, the ground beneath his feet vibrating with each heavy thud. He strained his eyes, peering into the fog, and then he saw it. A dark figure on horseback, emerging from the mist like a wraith. The Headless Horseman. The rider was just as the legend has described, tall and imposing, his headless body draped in a tattered cloak that billowed out behind him like the wings of a giant bat. The horse he rode was a massive beast, its coat as black as night, with eyes that glowed a deep, deep red. The horseman's sword was long and gleaming, and held high in one hand, ready to strike. Panic surged through William as the horseman charged towards him, the sound of the hooves growing deafening. He turned and ran, his feet pounding against the forest floor as he tried to flee through the fog. The branches of the trees clawed at him, tearing his clothes and skin, but he didn't dare slow down. He could feel the horseman closing in, the chill of death in the air as the ghostly rider bore down upon him. Just as the horseman's sword sliced through the air, William tripped over a gnarled root and fell to the ground, the blade missing him by mere inches. He scrambled to his feet, his heart pounding in his chest. But as he looked around, he realized something terrifying. The horseman was not chasing him. Instead, the spectral rider was leading him deeper into the woods, steering him towards something that he had not noticed before. An ancient, overgrown grave. The grave was marked by a crumbling headstone, covered in moss and nearly obscured by the encroaching roots of the forest. The horseman dismounted from his horse, the movement eerie and silent. With a bony hand, he pointed to the grave, gesture slow and deliberate. William stared in horror, understanding dawning too late. The legend had not warned of this. The horseman was not searching for a replacement head. He was searching for a successor. The ground beneath William's feet began to shift and tremble, the earth opening up with a deep, guttural rumble. The fog thickened, wrapping around him like a shroud as the grave opened, revealing the dark, cool void below. The horseman stood motionless, watching as William was slowly dragged towards the open grave. He tried to fight, to scramble away, but the pull of the tree roots was too strong. As he was swallowed by the ground, the last thing William saw was the horseman mounting his steed once more, the red glow of the horse's eyes piercing the fog and staring straight at him. The horseman rode away, disappearing into the mist. His curse passed on to a new victim. The earth closed over William, and the woods fell silent once more. The next morning, the villagers found William's hat at the edge of the woods, lying abandoned in the dirt. There was no sign of the boy, no trace of where he had gone. But as they stood at the edge of the forest, they heard it, the faint, distant sound of hooves echoing through the trees, growing fainter and fainter as it faded into the depths of the wood. And they knew, with a chilling certainty, that the Headless Horseman had found his successor. Wah-ha-ha-ha-ha! No, William, no! My boy! No! Imagine having 0 head. Dude, for real, imagine having 0 head. Hello, hello, kitty meow. Hello, hello! Welcome, welcome. We are sharing spooky, ooky stories. Ooh. What a chill stream. Yeah! Well, chill, it's definitely more calm than usual, but it's also more spooky than usual. No, William. I'm so sad. Loud and chaotic or quiet and calm, either way I'm enjoying my time here. No, that's so cute. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. I went bald. Oh my god. I'm bald. If you're still gonna do ASMR, can you do ASMR story time? That's what we're doing. We're doing stories. We're doing ASMR stories. But we're doing spooky stories. Bald? I know. I was bald for a second. Look. I'm bald. I can't believe you guys saw my bald head. I should make it a toggle, huh? I don't have a toggle with both of them. I only have the cat ears one. I mean, like recording ASMR. I recorded an ASMR actually. I recorded an ASMR. But I need to edit it, and I need to finish the drawing for it. My eyes. The real scary is Bald Yumi. Bald Yumi isn't real. She can't hurt you. Bald Yumi. It's so weird because I'm missing most of my head. Look, my ears are floating. The whole back of my head doesn't exist. That's so funny. Did you guys like the Headless Horseman story? I thought that one was better than the violin one, honestly. Bo. I have a bald emote. I should upload it actually. Oh, I keep forgetting. I should upload the bald emote. Oh my gosh. I keep forgetting. Bald. Yeah. Whoa. Let's do... Should we do another story? Ooh. Or should we have a look? Do you guys want to hear some real, true scary stories? We can browse scary stories on Reddit. Should we have a look at a scary story? Yumi, do you know anyone that wants a twice ticket? Maybe. Yeah. Wait, message me the details on Discord, and I'll see if I know anyone. I might, honestly, I actually might know someone that wants it. Now I'm thinking about it. But I'll get back to you on that. If you just message me the details, I might be able to Depends on where the concert is, though. Oogie, one of our friends pulled out. Oh, okay. Let me message me the details and stuff, and then oh yeah. I'm more of a third guy. You're my favorite band is not Twice, it's third. Can I tell a scary one? I think it'll just be me telling the scary stories. Just because now I can check about what they actually are. You don't like fourth? Oh, dude, have you heard fifth though? Wait, fifth is real. Fifth harmony. Man, your head is so shiny. I can see myself if I lean over. I think it was something stuck in my teeth. Wait, I'll lean over for you. Ready? It's like my face is flat. It's so weird. I'm so cute without the being bold, and then when I'm bold, it's like. I like both, but after the issues with 7, I see in the same way. What about 6 though? Why was 6 scared of 7? Because 7, 8, 9. How are you today, Neko Yumiko? I'm good, thank you very much for asking. How are you, Jay? 6 and 7. 6, 7. Let's have a little looky look. I'm going to read a real scary story now. This is by somebody called Megan. It's called The Dog Door. These are real stories now, so if you get freaked out by anything real and spooky, then don't stop watching because I'm gonna miss you. But try hold it together. Okay. A spooky kitty meow roar. Rawr. Here is a real story, The Dog Door by Megan. Shortly after my son was born, my then husband and I bought a 100-year-old house for our expanding family, which included the 3 of us and our medium to large dog. As someone who grew up afraid of the dark after a strange incident with a neighbor boy looking in my windows as a child, I repeatedly had to tell myself that the creaks and thumps and sounds were normal for a house of that age with old growth trees that bumped the roof and scraped the windows at night, and the noisy radiant heat and a back gate that wouldn't stay shut and clanked in the wind. I'd hear some things, and instead of investigating, I'd hide under the covers like any reasonable adult. When my husband and I split up, I kept the creaky house, and he kept the medium-large dog. When my son was still small, the 2 of us were watching a movie in the front room around dusk when my phone died. As a type B personality, the one charger I had was typically strewn somewhere about the house. This time I found it in the kitchen. But as I crossed to the counter to plug it in, I had the overwhelming, goosebumpy, tingly, sinking sense that something was very, very wrong. Not only was the back gate open again, someone was sitting cross-legged in the yard, seemingly staring at the house. They had a hood and dark sunglasses. Despite the fleeting light, and didn't move when I stepped closer to the window to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. They remained eerily motionless when I was certain they could see me, and still even when I was pretty sure they could see that I had seen them. I quickly locked the back door, grabbed my phone and my charger, and headed into the dining room to my laptop, where I sent the first person I could see online a message that someone was sitting in my yard staring at my house, and that my phone was dead, and to please call the police if they didn't hear from me in a few minutes. I assumed whoever was in the yard would leave once sighted, nevertheless waited on tenterhooks, impatiently staring at my still useless phone. After an awkward conversation with my son about why we weren't going into the kitchen to get a glass of water, it finally lit up and I was able to call 911. I tried to calmly explain to the dispatcher that I was sure the person was gone, but I begged that they please send an officer to check my yard as the motionless staring was unsettling at best. Keeping me on the phone, she asked if I could look out a window without being seen to verify as well as check the locked door. I awkwardly crept as stealthily as I could towards the kitchen, Slowly realizing that while the back door was locked, I also... Oh my god, there's a possum. That freaked me out so bad. That was so spooky. Sorry. Keeping me on the phone, she asked if I could look out a window without being seen to verify as well as check the locked door. I awkwardly crept as stealthily as I could toward the kitchen, slowly realizing that while the back door was locked, it also had a very clearly too large dog door with no functioning way to block it. Panicking, I stood slightly in an attempt to scan the yard and came face to face with a hood and sunglasses staring me down through the window. At this point, I was incoherent as the dispatcher urged me to grab my son and hightail it to a locked room. I dart back to him and explain we need to go now, and as I pick him up, I hear that unclear and unmistakable sound of the dog door slowly swinging open. I abandon the house, leaving the front door wide open, and dash across the street to pound on my neighbor's door. Once inside, they kindly paused their dinner party to distract my son while I stared across the street and messily sobbed about our very indoor cat we left behind. Not long after the officers arrived, they came through the side gate with a hood and sunglasses in tow. They had apprehended her calmly sitting on my back step, her arm lazily, purposefully swinging in and out of the dog door. I boarded that dog door shut that night, but we moved shortly thereafter, as I was never actually quite sure, after all, that if the nighttime knocks and bumps and open gates I'd been hearing were actually just the old house. That was spooky. Oh my god, somebody was sitting in her yard! Oh, that was so spooky. That was a real one as well. What would you guys do if you were home alone at night and there was somebody sitting in your front yard? It was me. Oh my gosh, you're in my walls. I was in your yard, Moxie. Chills out. Dude, I got chills. I was so scared halfway through the story, and then I heard a possum on my roof. That was so scary. It was so scary. Yeah, it was so spooky. Oh my gosh. Oh, sheesh, sheesh. I would scare you. You probably would. What kind of names? Yeah, what kind of names would you call the intruder in your front yard? I wouldn't even be able to, like... Oh, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't even be able to, like... I don't know. I would be so scared. Wait, I want to tell you guys a scary story of my own. It's not really that scary, but you said Ronaldo, which made me think of it. When I was about maybe 6 or... I was going to say 6 or 7. When I was about 8 or 9, I really needed to go to the bathroom. So I used to live on a bunk bed. I used to live in an apartment and I had a bunk bed. And I opened... It was like 50 years ago. Yeah, it felt like 50 years ago. I opened... Well, I got down from my bed. I opened the door, and there was this corridor, like a 2-3 meter corridor between me and the bathroom. You ate the bunk bed? I did? That's a different story, though. There was a 2-meter corridor between me and the bathroom. And, you know, it was so terrifying, because on one side, it was pitch black, and on the other side, that was also pitch black. I was so spooked. Anyway, took a big running jump into the bathroom, and locked the door behind me. It was fine. I did my business. I took my piss. Okay, and then I did the same thing. Big running jump, cleared the corridor, and it was fine. I ran up to my bunk bed, pulled myself up, and I'd left the door open, and I looked back, and I swear on my life, a shadowy figure, a shadowy figure that was running at top speed ran past my door, and the door like slammed shut. I was terrified. In all my wisdom, I decided that the best thing to do was not to get into bed. I completely froze. I was halfway up my bunk bed, holding on, and I completely froze. I started crying, screaming to my parents. They came in. They were like, "Oh my god, Yumi, what's happening?" I was like, my parents calmed me down enough for me to explain to them that there was a man running really fast past the door. Obviously, that wasn't, right? But I swear to God, there was. And the door slammed, right? My parents were like, "Oh, you know, it's a corridor. Like, there's probably wind." And I was like, "No, no, 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 no." And in all my 8-year-old wisdom, I decided to look them in the eyes and say to them, "No, you don't understand. It was Usain Bolt." Because the fastest man that I knew was Usain Bolt. So, forever now, my parents teased me and say that I saw Usain Bolt in my bedroom. Batman would have been better, but for some reason, it was Usain Bolt. It was. I'm telling you, he was. I don't know how or when, but he was there. He was in my house when I was 8. The gold medalist runner. Yeah, because 8-year-old me was like, that shadow that ran past my door was the fastest shadow that I'd ever seen. So I was like, clearly it has to be Usain Bolt. It just has to be. It has to be Usain Bolt. Oh, man. I was a bit silly. I was a little bit silly as a kid. What can I say? Oh, man. Don't spray me! He's spraying me because I ate my bunk bed. Look, the wood on the bunk bed was just like the perfect texture to bite. So my bunk bed as a kid, half of the side of the bed was like completely like chewed up, and I had teeth marks along the entire side of it. We couldn't even like when we moved from my apartment to a house when I was a kid. We tried to sell the bunk beds, and we just couldn't because they were in such a bad state. Because me and my sibling had chewed, well, not really my sibling, but me, I had chewed like the whole side of the bunk bed. I wonder what little Yumi sounds like. To no one's surprise, not that much different. I don't know why. This is gonna sound really weird, but like, you know when guys are like, "You redeemed anime Yumi, I'm already anime Yumi." You need to redeem Chibi Yumi. This is the Chibi one. Thank you so much for the daily chicken, Vinny. I don't know what that is, TBA. I'll show you. So, you can redeem Chibi Yumi, which will change. Oh, you can't see me. Hi. Hang on. Me. Hi. You can redeem Chibi Yumi, which is this. It's like me, little baby Yumi. But then if you're like, "Oh, I don't want to see Chibi Yumi anymore. I don't want to see it," right? And then you can get this one, which is Anime Yumi, which is my normal model. Oh, you can see my blankies, only half a blankie. That's my secret chat. I'm hiding half of the blankie. Oh no, I locked the tool. Short? I'm not short. You're short. I bet you I'm like taller than you and everything. Oh my god, I need to. Oh, wait. You know, remind me. I'm gonna send you a photo later. You know. Oh, wow, my ears. You stole my ears. I'm gonna send you a photo later. You know, of me with a Moogle fork. There was at PAX. There was somebody that had like a life-size to scale replica of the Dragoon lance that I have with the Moogle on the end. The one that packs? Yeah! I don't know, did I already send it to you? I don't remember. Maybe I already sent it to you. Thank you so much for the head pat. Thank you, thank you. No, send me. Okay, wait. Let me. I'll send it to you after stream. Yeah. Did your character just meow? No, I meowed. If you redeem meow on Twitch, then it removes my ears and there's an audio of me. No, there's an audio of me doing it. Yeah, I'll show you. Ready? You redeem meow? Meow! That's me meowing. Meow! Should we do another story? Do you want another real one? The real ones were kind of scary, low-key. The real ones were kind of scary. We could though, we could. A real one? Okay, let's do a real one. Let's get another one. Let's get a real one. Okay. Oh, my audio stopped. Let's restart it. Okay, let's do a real one. Okay. I'm just trying to find a good one. Ooh. Here's a good one. This is about somebody kayaking. Four years ago. This is called The Kayaking Trip by Marge. This is a real story. 4 years ago, my husband and I took an anniversary trip to the Upper Peninsula in Michigan. It was in early-ish pandemic days, and the opportunity to be free of the tornado of constant home/work/parenting a toddler was as great as the lakes we'd hoped to explore. We split the trip into two parts. One part outdoorsy, one part relaxation. We started out our kayak camping on Lake Superior, just off of Pictured Rocks National Lake Shore. We had a remote campsite out on Grand Island that we would paddle to in our sport-level inflatable kayak, carrying all our food and gear for 2 nights. The paddle to the campsite had been challenging, but doable. We were medium-level kayakers, so after about 3 hours of travel with some poking around the island mixed in, we were very ready to settle down. Sure, I'm just moving my screen around so I can see better. The campsite itself was stunning. It faced a large bay and then opened onto Lake Superior, beautifully framing the horizon in a way that felt almost fake. Off in the distance, you could barely make out the edge of Pictured Rocks. The wolves howled and laughed through the night as we sat around the fire, the woods around us lit only by glow lichen. After a beautiful first night, we woke up with the shining sun to enjoy the view, shake off the boxed wine hangover, and drink coffee before heading out to adventure. We made a loose plan to kayak towards Pictured Rocks, which involved a short open water crossing that was potentially treacherous, but worth it to get to where we wanted to go. To our surprise, we nailed the open water crossing in a little over an hour. It was challenging, but the famous Lake Superior waves proved manageable, and our arms withstood the power of the current. We spent the rest of the day poking along the coastline, taking in the breathtaking rock formations and arches, soaking up the sunshine, and stopping at various beaches for exploration and snacks. At around 3 p.m., we decided to head back to the campsite to get settled in for the evening. As we stood on the beach plotting our way back, we noticed that the rental kayak bros were busy hauling all the kayaks up to shelter. We figured since it was late September, they were likely closing early due to a light end-of-season day. The tourists had also slowly trickled away, and we were left mostly alone. There were 2 options for heading back. The first was to go back the way we came along the coastline, and then repeating the same open water crossing we'd done that morning. This would also take us against the current, meaning we'd be working a lot harder and adding time where we didn't necessarily have the daylight to spare. The second option was to take a straight line through a much larger open water crossing back to the island, which we could see as plain as day ahead of us. It would be a much shorter and direct route. In our eagerness to get back to camp and still feeling ourselves over how well we'd been doing, we chose option 2. We started out and were feeling strong as we paddled along. The waves were picking up a bit, but that was to be expected once we got into open water. We took a quick break and finished up the last of our snacks, confident we would be back to camp in an hour or two to refuel our bodies. We'd been at it for probably an hour and the weather was starting to turn. The sun disappeared and the clouds began to spit rain. Or was that mist from the waves that were gradually splashing higher and higher around us? The wind had picked up to a steady clip right in front of our faces, and the water was ice cold. I can't pinpoint exactly when I realized we weren't moving forward anymore, but I remember looking over at the rocky coastline to my far left and realizing that the particular rock that I'd been tracking for a while had not moved even a little. It was still in the same spot it had been the last time that I looked at it, and the time before. We were silent, neither of our stubborn asses ready to admit that we may have gotten in the way over our heads. We plowed on. Another hour passed. Or was it 2? The minutes really did turn into hours as we kept paddling and paddling forward and getting seemingly nowhere. I was positioned in the front of the kayak, trying to keep us moving as much as I could, but the wind had other ideas. I scanned every direction and there was nowhere to go that would allow for a safe landing. There was a rock wall one side and a thick brush on the other, both options very far in the distance. There was not another boat in sight. My husband pulled out his phone but had absolutely no signal. We kept paddling. My husband was in the back working his hardest to steer us in a straight line. At one point he shouted to me over the din of wind and spray, "Give me your water bottle!" I obliged without question and turned enough to see him open it and dump its contents into the lake. "What the fuck are you doing?" I screamed. Apologies for swearing. My survivalist instinct to ration our water having kicked in somewhere along the line. I then saw why he needed it. He was sitting in about 6 inches of water. 60-degree, late-season Lake Superior water. And he'd been in it for what was likely about 2 hours. Or was it? Since he was heavier than me, it had all pulled up around his end and I hadn't noticed it. He started to use my empty water bottle to try and bail out the kayak while simultaneously paddling to keep us in a straight line. Unsurprisingly, this did not work. He chose paddling over bailing out, and we continued on. Again, we fell silent as we bore down. We just kept paddling and paddling. The waves got higher and higher, white caps spraying out in front of us like an obstacle course we had to win in order to get to safety. My arms were absolutely on fire and my back ached from hunching forward. I didn't know how much more I could handle. Resting wasn't an option. Rest meant the wind pushed us back, undoing any forward progress we'd worked so hard for. I thought about our son. I thought about our house. I thought about my parents. I thought about my job. It was getting darker by the minute and the waves kept coming. We were amateurs to rough water, so every wave proved a teachable moment. I was now sitting in about 6 inches of water, which meant my husband was getting close to waist deep. My watch had died somewhere around hour 3, but I didn't dare ask for the time. Through either telepathy or just practice after 10 plus years of communicating with each other, we each silently decided our only option was forward. We just had to get into that bay that led to our campsite. The water and wind would be calmer there. So we kept going. We occasionally shouted words of encouragement to the other over the howl of the wind, but we were mostly quiet. I thought about how deep the water was. I thought about how stupid we were. I thought about the cozy Airbnb we'd booked for the next leg of the trip. I thought about the kayak rental bros packing it in early since it was obvious to them that the weather was going to turn. And then I looked up at the island was upon us. I wasn't sure when or how it got there. It was nighttime dark now and I could see the silhouette of a tree and the occasional low moonlight that poked through the clouds. We were entering the bay and we each let out a tentative sigh of relief. When we finally pulled onto the island, we both rolled out of the kayak and flopped onto the beach. We couldn't move. We finally figured out the time and it was just after 8 p.m. The whole thing had taken over 5 hours. We'd made it, but it didn't feel like a victory. We'd messed with Mother Nature and she damn well almost won. It wasn't until this moment that we realized we were also
were bordering hypothermic. Each of us were shaking uncontrollably and making little sense as we blabbered to each other and tried to address our many needs. We stripped naked just right there in the open. We found blankets and mustered a little fire. We ate whatever we could just to get our hands on and drank water and then boxed wine. And we recapped what turned out to be the dumbest decision that we had made in the 11 years that we'd been together. We spent the rest of the night figuring out how to get off the island in the morning. We both had kayak PTSD and no desire to make the trip back any longer than it needed to be. In the end, we portaged the kayak and all our gear to a broken down dock on the opposite end of the island to shorten the return trip. When we finally got back to the car on the mainland, I cried. 4 days after, whenever I sat still, I could feel the waves of Lake Superior tossing me around. And with that phantom up and down, back and forth, came that feeling of hopelessness, the feeling that I was powerless against the forces of nature. One does not mess with the big lake they called Glitchagumi. We celebrated our next anniversary at a nice hotel here at home, and we have not been kayaking together since. Well, that wasn't really scary unless you're scared of the ocean, I guess, but I'm not really scared of the ocean. That was kind of funny, though. Oh, there was poor people. Stuck in a kayak. Oh my gosh. That's like my worst nightmare. It'd be so spooky. I don't know. What did you guys think of that one? Is anyone here actually scared of... is anyone here actually scared of stuff? Where are you getting this story? I am getting them from the internet. I'm getting them from www.jezebel.com/10 true scary stories that will send shivers down your spine. Ugh. Oh, he said that there's an octopus. Okay, I found another story. Sorry, I was just reading this. I found another story. Here we go. This is a really good one, I think. This will scare me. Whoa, I just saw the octopuses go across screen. What the heck? That was so spook. That was so spook. How goes the spooky story so far, Miss Neko Yumiko? It goes very good, thank you, Xavier. We are reading some spooky, scary stories that are real this time. Also, I forgot to say thank you so much, Loser Sub, for the follow. I appreciate it. Yeah, the one on Twitch. Thank you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Sorry that I didn't say it before. I always forget when people do it in the middle of stories because I want to stay in the immersion. You know. We're gonna get to 190 in no time. Yeah. Oh yeah. The little Yumi plush is so cute. Frank got it for me. Got it for me for my birthday, I think. Yeah. I think it was my birthday. Holy, my birthday was so long ago. It was in August. Oh. Okay. This next story is called The Mustang, which is kind of cool. I like Mustangs. They're cool cars. Oh, sorry. I'm hitting my water bottle on things. I have so many cups on my desk. This will be the last story of the night, chat. So I hope it's a good one. The Mustang by Tootie. My partner and I were watching a friend's old house and his dogs in upstate New York while he was out of the country for work. The house was really old, early 1800s, and huge and beautiful, but a bit creepy. We needed to get out of the city, so we jumped at this cushy gig. We rented a car and were heading up from the city. Our friend had left earlier that day and the dogs were in the house. I'd been driving most of the way, but my partner took over once I got sleepy. They're driving us on a dark, narrow mountain road in the Catskills. The road on the right side of us is a small ditch that quickly rises back up the side of a mountain. The road on the left side is right down the mountain, pretty much a straight drop. Our turn is coming up. We're the only car on the road and have been for almost an hour. My partner puts the turn signal on and we're turning, and suddenly we hear this revving engine sound behind us, and this sports car like a 90s Mustang or something, going probably 100 miles per hour, zooms up next to us and swerves to the left to overtake us and make the turn before we do. My partner jerks the wheel to the right at the last second and slams on the brakes. We veered off and managed to stop with one tire crooked into a ditch, inches from crashing into the side of the mountain on the right side. The other driver truly almost T-boned the driver's side of our car. We would have gone straight into the side of the mountain. While we're catching our breath, police lights and sirens screech up behind us and past us, chasing after the driver. We sat there in the car for a few minutes, just staring and breathing, talking each other down from how close we'd been to a fatal accident. We'd both felt the rush of the wind speed coming off that car, what would have been the impact force of it hitting us. Hate cops, but we hoped the cop would catch them down the road because we'd never seen or felt someone driving that crazy. After we cooled down, we scooted back onto the road, driving the last few miles towards our friend's house. And as we're going, a second cop car flies by, and then a third. We're thinking, holy shit, what is this? We're about half a mile from our friend's house when we see all three cop cars have pulled someone over. Great, they got him. But when we approached, we saw it was a giant pickup truck, not the Mustang that had nearly killed us. We slowed down and passed on the left. The driver of the truck looked really freaked out. We're staring at him because we're thinking, how could they mistake a truck for that Mustang? They got the wrong guy. We went a bit further and we were approaching our friend's house up the road on the right. And I was looking up the directions our friend sent. Pulled halfway into the driveway, get up, open the gate, etc., etc. So we slowed down to open the gate and turned to the driveway. And just as we slowed down to pull in on the other side of the road, parked, we saw the Mustang. It was sitting right in front of our friend's house on the road with the door open, and there was a person in it. I panicked and barked at my partner to not slow down, to keep driving, because for a second I had this thought, don't let him see you get into this house. But we were already turning into the driveway, and I had to step out of the car and throw the gate open. I kept telling myself, don't look at him, but I did, and he was looking right at me from inside the lit car. I can't tell much about what he looks like. White guy, middle-aged maybe, but his expression, it was this blank stare of determination, like he couldn't see me fully, but right before I turned away, I thought he gave me kind of a snarl. I ran through the gate, closed it as soon as my partner drove through, and jumped back into the car. We sped up the driveway, jumping out of the car, and fumbled the lockbox. The key opened, we ran into the house and started running around, turning off lights, checking the doors and closing all the curtains. His dogs are freaking out and barking, but they're both little lap dogs, so it wasn't like they were going to protect us. We got all the lights off and grabbed a dog and huddled by the front window, looking out the side of the curtain. The car was still there, the door still open. We could still see his shape sitting in the lit car across from the bottom of the driveway. And the thing about this gate to the driveway, it doesn't lock. It's just a little wooden country gate with a drop latch. He could easily come up to the house. We watched the light in the car at the bottom of the hill from the window for maybe 2 hours. We kept wondering where the cops were. Why did they pull this other guy over when it was clearly this guy who was the psycho? And how long would he sit there across from the house? Until the light simply shut off. We think? Neither of us was 100% sure, but we kept going over it and neither of us saw or heard it drive away. Logic won though. We convinced ourselves we must have missed it driving away and it was just a reckless drunk driver who eventually headed home. We were both exhausted, so we decided to get the dogs and pile into bed in an upstairs bedroom. We were too freaked out to sleep on the ground floor, and try to watch a dumb movie to calm our nerves. The bedroom was in the front of the house, and every once in a while I'd see something out of the corner of my eye through the upstairs window and think it was the light on the car coming on again. but when I actually turned to look, there wouldn't be anything. So I'm proud to say we eventually fell asleep to Mighty Ducks 3. We both woke up at the same time a few hours later, maybe 4 a.m., and every light in the room was on. And judging from how lit the yard was out the window, every light in the entire house was on. We had turned off every light before we went to sleep because we were terrified of someone seeing in. And there was a sound that at first I thought must be an alarm system. But once I fully woke up, I realized it was a howl, and it was coming from everywhere. It sounded like it was coming from the walls and the floor and the ceiling and the bed all at once. The tiny dogs were barking so hard they actually sounded kind of vicious. I just thought, he's here. We'd gone to sleep with the only weapons we could find in the house tucked under our pillows. My partner had a dull kitchen knife and I had a hammer. We grabbed them and started to get out of the bed. And then the lights started to move. First, the 2 ceiling light bulbs and the 2 lamps started passing it around our room, and it went in a circle for about 2 rounds, and then the noise stopped, and the room went completely black. We could see from the light in the hallway getting brighter under the door frame. The dogs got confused and stopped barking and slunk away from the door and went under the bed. Then the hallway light went out, and I could see through the window the reflections on the grass outside of other lights in the house flashing on and off. The porch light, the room next to us and under us, and then all the lights cut off altogether. This is a house where the porch light is always on, and with emergency floodlights with a generator. This house can go off-grid if need be. This house has a full backup system, but there was nothing on. It was pitch black. Eventually, amid the what the F's and tears and bargaining about who was going to go check the house or flip the breaker switch in the basement, we came close to deciding us both and finally agreed it was neither and fell asleep again. The next morning when we woke up, everything was fine. The lights worked, the dogs seemed untraumatized. We were shaky as hell, but the sun was out and it seemed like maybe we'd just had some great spiritual misunderstanding the night before. We wondered if it was collective hysteria from almost being in a wreck and being stressed from being in the city, and we felt dumb about our kitchen weapons. It was when we went into town to get coffee and groceries that we heard some people talking about a wreck. The night before, the guy in the Mustang had tried to pass the guy in the truck about 100 yards back down the road, where we saw the truck guy pulled over. The Mustang guy had gotten too close to the edge and drove off the mountain and died. Were there 2 Mustangs? Or was it a similar looking car? Did we imagine it? We had another week and a half in that house, and we slept with all the lights on, the hammer, the dumb knife, and both dogs every single night. I still haven't told my friend. He's back in his house and he loves it, and if somebody told me that shit, I would move immediately. Oh my god. Well, true story, chat. That was a true story. He died. He drove off the cliff. That's crazy. Scary Mustang ghost. Ooh, the Mustang guy come to haunt your dreams. Okay, that is where I'm going to leave it tonight. You said a swear word. Yeah, I did. I do swear occasionally. Oops. Okay. That is where I'm going to leave it tonight. It is sleepy time. I need to go watch like a funny YouTube video or something after that. I've like freaked myself out. Thank you. Oh, I'm just gonna do my goodbye from here. I'm gonna do my goodbye from here. I moved my chat box. How did I even manage to do that? Okay, as usual, I will be streaming tomorrow at 7 p.m. So 2 hours earlier. 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much, Cryvix, for the follow. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I hope that you enjoyed the scary stories. As usual, thank you all very, very much for watching. If you like this stream, don't forget to leave a like or follow. I stream on currently I stream at 9 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on both Twitch and YouTube. Yeah. If you haven't done so already today, please go touch some grass, go eat some good food, go drink water. Tell your loved ones that you love them. Yeah.
I hope that this stream made your day a little bit better and a little bit brighter because it sure made mine. Or a bit more spookier considering it is Halloween. Ooh. I hope everyone's gonna be able to sleep after this because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to. Thank you all very, very much for watching. My name is Neko Yumiko, but most people call me Yumi. And I will speak to you all very, very soon. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone. Good night. Good night. If you're on Twitch, please stick around so we can find somebody to raid. Yay! I'm gonna put in some music now, so if you guys are a little bit sensitive to that, it'll be chill music. Let's put on some chill music to end. Good night, everyone. I hope you sleep well. We're gonna raid someone. Ooh. Does anyone have any suggestions? I've only got one person, so let's see who we can find. Everyone's ASMRs are really inappropriate on here. I can't find anyone to raid. I'm gonna raid my friend Lily. I'm gonna raid my friend Lily. Okay, chat. Good night. I'll see you guys soon.